Captain Coach here, and today I'm going to go over what I think is the most common mistake that I see support players making in Marvel Rivals in even the highest ranks of play. I'm talking 0.5% of players, 0.2, 0.1%, even Eternity level games, which is more or less what you have on your screen right now. So I'm going to show you what the mistake is and how to avoid it, both on defense and on offense. So let's get into this. We are on offense here on Central Park, and we have just wiped the enemy team as we move the payload towards their second checkpoint ending. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because context is very important. Marvel Rivals is a game about situational awareness and using cooldowns at the right times. Essentially, at the highest ranks of play, the game comes down to ult economy and cooldown usage. Using your cooldowns at the right time to win fights and, more importantly, knowing when not to use cooldowns. Okay? So we have just wiped their team. We have used all our ultimates. We have won the fight, and now we are zoning them off the checkpoint. Right? So there goes the cart. I mean, textbook, right? Our healers are on the cart, throwing heals in to help us zone them off, and we keep the team from walking up and contesting, and we have just secured this checkpoint. So, go back to that situational awareness I'm talking about. We start fighting here, which is totally fine. I mean, you might as well. Our respawn's right here. And there's 4 minutes left in the game now for us to essentially win one fight. Because winning one fight is going to get us to the finish line and win us the game. So, watch what happens here and leave a comment if you think you can figure out what our team or their team did wrong when it comes to support ult usage. Okay, so we're taking the fight. That's me on Mr. Fantastic running in. I get grabbed. We actually get a pick. But yes, we all, other than Bucky, have no cooldowns. They Invisible Woman ult, and we Invisible Woman ult immediately to match it. Now, conventional wisdom would tell you that because we have more players than they do, and the time it takes them to run back to the fight is a very long time. The Mr. Fantastic died. I think he's about to respawn here. Okay, there he is, just respawned. It'll probably take him about 25 seconds to run back. Add that to death timers. He's out of the game for 30, 35 seconds, right? So conventional wisdom would tell you that our Invisible Woman ult is not only going to win us this fight, but it's going to get us more value than their Invisible Woman ult because we have 6 players alive and they have 5. So the effective amount of healing that our ult can do is greater than theirs. But I'm going to challenge that notion. By the way, that info is something that I don't think people necessarily always realize, but it is something that I think for most good players is kind of common knowledge. Obviously, you don't want to let someone die before you support ult. But I'm going to challenge that notion here for you and tell you why this ult by our Invisible Woman was not a good ultimate. So again, situational awareness. We have one ultimate after just winning a fight, and we know basically everybody on the enemy team has theirs. We win one fight, we win the game, we have 4 minutes to do so. So it's effectively, I'd say each fight, is about 45 seconds if they don't drag on. We have about 3 or 4 chances before this game is over to essentially move the cart like 50 feet. So hindsight is something that I think can be dangerous in a game like this. But type in the comments why you think that this Invisible Woman's ult is not the best it could be, and then I'll tell you right after we go through the fight here. So here's the fight. Here's what happens. Their Magneto ults. The enemy team starts popping their ultimates. He lands a nice ult. Actually kills me with it. I was not expecting that because I had just used my Reflect. So really nice play by him. And we barely... Well, not barely. We actually get fully wiped. So we lose that fight pretty convincingly, 5v6. So now look at the situation we're in. Now we don't have what is the most powerful ultimate on our team, the Invisible Woman ultimate. Now there's less time on the clock, and they still outpace us with support ults. Okay? So this is really bad for us, because this now gives them the opportunity to stall here. Because if when you're on offense, if you match ult for ult and the fights are not won in a convincing fashion, that effectively means you don't get to progress at all. And all we need to do is progress a little bit. So I'm going to challenge that notion of yours and say that the right play here for our Invisible Woman, even though we were in a situation that seemed advantageous to us, the right decision is to not ult. It is to quite literally let your team die. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one is, the next fight, we will guaranteed have ult advantage or over the enemy team, because they used Invisible Woman and Magneto ult. And they used more ults that were eventually forced because our Invisible Woman ulted, but we're not going to count those. But more importantly, our respawn is right here, guys. So when we lose a fight, right, we don't lose the 45 seconds amount of time that I talked about. We lose about 20 seconds. We wipe real quick, everybody comes back up, and we go right back to spawn here. We have so many chances to win the game that there's no point in risking a fight that is effectively a coin flip, meaning we don't really know what the outcome is going to be. This game is over. We have won. We have won the game, but because Invisible Woman matched ults, now you guys tell me what is the best way to win a game. Each of these circles represents the amount of fights left we have in the game, which I'd say it's about 4. Like fights can drag on and they can go on for a while, but we're talking when a support ult and a support ult on both teams, that to me is a fight. When both teams are just going at it 6v6. Would you rather have a 50-50 4 times? You only need one of them to win, but 4 50-50s? Or would you rather hold on to your ultimate and have effectively a 0% chance, but then a 90% chance to win the next fight? The answer is obviously the 90%, because this is a guarantee. This is a guarantee. The reason also that it is a 90%, more or less, if the Invisible Woman just lets our team die, is because, you know how I said a support ultimate is more valuable the more people you have alive on your team? It also has more effective value every person alive on your team who has their ultimate, because that means they can use them with impunity, meaning they're not challenged, meaning there's no way the ultimate gets blocked, canceled, you die during it. And with a team like ours, right, that's useful, right? We have Mr. Fantastic who can get healed during the ult, just in case his shield breaks. We have Emma who can die, and she can be protected by it. We have a Thing ult who could be so not only will we have a much greater chance to win next fight if we just take the loss here, but the fight will be easier for everybody else. Oh, and even if that fight goes south, we'll have a support ults to keep the fight going on long enough to where our spawns right here, we could probably get certain players on our team, if somebody died early, could get multiple lives per fight because the support ult is keeping them alive so long, and we run back and we just keep staggering in, but we're like our spawn is closer, so inevitably we win in that scenario too. So there's really, in my opinion, absolutely no reason why you should ever ult here as Invisible Woman, because it effectively gives the enemy team a chance to win. Weirdly enough, by trying to win the fight, you are dooming your team to lose. Now, we did end up actually winning this game. But how do you avoid this mistake? The mistake is to track your enemy cooldowns, look at where the game is and what the situation is and how much time you have, and know when to not do anything. Know when to let your teammates die. I think a lot of support players have the mentality that they need to protect their teammates at all costs, and that is not the right mentality to have. The right mentality to have is to win the game at all costs, right? And sometimes that means letting your players die. Okay, so if we played out this scenario in the way that I describe, their invisible woman uses her ultimate. Maybe if they're really disciplined and good players, nobody else on their team would ult until our invis ulted, which I think is what happened with Mag. And then we take the next fight. We use our invisible woman ult at the first sign of pressure from the enemy team, or major ultimate. Because, you don't want to hold on it too long, because if you wait too long, then they have the chance to get more ultimates, right? And we try to wait as long as possible until all our cooldowns and ults are up and use them together and completely wipe them off this map. We completely wipe them off the map. But hopefully that makes sense for a lot of people. Now, in the same vein, on defense, I believe that their Invisible Woman's ult was also a mistake, but less of one because they had just lost a teammate. And using an ultimate to stall while your teammate runs back to fight is a valid strategy. I just don't think they needed to do it. So let me know what you guys think. Is this a mistake that you guys make? Obviously, if there was less time on the clock, the situation changes a little bit. But this is particularly useful when you have 1 or 2 fights left in a game, usually 2, about a minute and a half, because that's like the most common, right? You get overtime, and then you get to a third checkpoint, and then you only have about a minute and a half to win the game. Save your ultimates, guys. Save it for last fight, and tell your team to be aggressive and run at them. Because if you are closer to your spawn, you're going to get another fight, right? And not only that, the fight you take with your ults is going to be more impactful. It's good to use your ultimates for tempo to keep the cart moving. But when it comes time to win the game, sometimes you have to know when to lose. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, be sure to like and leave a comment. I don't normally do coaching videos in this particular way. Usually I bring out the coach for that. But please, if you want to see more content like this, definitely support. And I will be sure to make more videos like this because honestly, I get a little bothered by support players because they have so much control over the game, and I try to communicate these concepts to them during the games, and a lot of times they just don't get it. And I'm not calling support players out or dumb or anything. I'm just saying this is something that you can't just explain apart from just saying, hey, do this. And that's kind of bossy. No one likes someone like that on their team. So I'm going to maybe, if you guys, the feedback is good for this, make more videos like this and post them, because I think if we can improve the skill level of the Marvel rival, and by the way, if you disagree, please let me know. Please tell me why I'm wrong below. But I think this is a pretty cut and dry misplay. But if we can improve the Marvel Rivals community as a whole and the gameplay, I think the quality of games for everybody is going to go up, right? And it'll be less about who's blaming who, why can't we win, I can't figure out why I'm just on these massive lose streaks, to, well, if everybody's more or less playing the right way, you can't do that if you don't know what the right way to play is. So, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next one.